Welcome to Lead Like a Girl, where we are empowering everyday women through our stories. I'm your host, Jessica Smith, and I began this journey by sharing my life story. Now, I've joined forces with my longtime friends, Jamie and Corlin, to keep this party going. We met many years ago as young sales girls in our 20s, driven and quickly rising to the top of our industry. As the years went on, life happened, and we all found ourselves in new companies and completely different industries, still striving for success in it all. Career, family, faith, fun. Now, it wasn't easy, but we never stopped moving. Get ready for our real conversations, inspiring stories, and our big life lessons as we share it all. The good, the bad, and the funny. Welcome to Lead Like a Girl.
Good.
All right. So welcome to another episode of Lead Like a Girl, where we love to empower everyday women through our storytelling. And I am so excited. We have a special guest, my dear friend, Janel Pulley, on with us today. And we're going to talk money. Y'all know I like to talk about money. And I just want to do just a little quick check-in. How are we today? I know, as you can see this face right here, it's not a good day for me, so I'm going to need some grace on this episode, but I am glad.
I think you look amazing.
Jessica, you always look beautiful, and stop being self-deprecating.
Flattery will
just
get you
embrace it.
Mind, by the way.
I've learned that.
And this is not a chore for me, by the way. So I had a long to-do list, a whole lot of stuff to do today, but I was looking forward to this because this gets me going. This sets my week up. I love spending time and just talking shit with you guys all the time. And we get to learn some new stuff today. So let's do it. Listen, if you would find us on our YouTube channel, Lead Like a Girl Lab, and subscribe and listen and share and all that good stuff. And we love the feedback. Give us more feedback. You can find us on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, and our website, Lead Like a Girl, where you can get that swag like Jamie. Jamie, can you put your chest out a little bit?
Can you sit up straight over there?
Right?
My grandma used to say, I kid you not, my grandma used to say, shoulders back, knockers out.
Sorry, Corlin,
girls, have you back knockers out?
Have you ever seen me slouch, Corlin?
No.
Okay.
But you have great shoulders and arms.
I do have to say, though, about the feedback, I had a friend from a job I had probably at least 15 years ago, and she posted on Facebook and she said, "Hey guys, I need a new podcast idea." And I was like, "Mine!" And she said, "I've listened to several of yours." And I'm so shout out to Katie.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie, for listening. So let's jump in because I'm excited to introduce Janel. So let me just tell you a little bit about Janel. Janel Pulley is a seasoned financial educator, best-selling author, licensed insurance agent for over 20 years. I know y'all confused. You don't look like it. Experience in empowering families to take control of their financial futures. She is the author of Money Just Flew Out the Window. That's how I feel all the time. How to create a relationship with wealth, living from paycheck to paycheck, where she shares actionable insights to transform financial habits and secure long-term prosperity. Janel is dedicated to equipping individuals with the tools they need to thrive financially and beyond. She is the founder of J. Pulley Agency and Rise Up and Thrive Media Group, LLC, and host Power Fridays Live, a weekly Facebook Live. So write that down, ladies. Power Fridays Live, a weekly Facebook Live series where she interviews innovative entrepreneurs and shares business strategies for success, which I've had the privilege some while back to be on. And whether through one-on-one coaching, speaking engagements, or digital education, her mission remains clear: to help individuals and families live their best lives financially free and future focused. I love that. She enjoys being a certified life coach and professional speaker. Ms. Pulley resides in the metro Atlanta area with her husband, Michael, and daughter, Amaris Leona, which I love that. And did I pronounce that right? Is it Amaris?
We say Amaris. We say Amaris and Amaris. We're going to let her decide how to pronounce her name.
Oh, okay. Because, and actually, now that I think about it, it's spelled differently. But I wonder if it's the same like Ameris Bank, if that had any spin on your financial teaching. But yeah,
She's going to get that all the time growing up. I already know they're going to call her the bank.
Which is not going to be a bad thing, right? She's
exactly.
You're growing up a strong lady over there.
So
yes, thank you.
I'm excited to jump into this, and I want to talk about. We can talk about so many things, and I didn't have this on her bio, but I also want to say that Janel is also one of my Toastmasters family members. So shout out to all the Toastmasters out there. You know that I am a big Toastmasters person, and she is our area director. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
This year, and yes. So love that as well. So what do we want to talk about? I think I want to start off with a good old icebreaker. I don't know if you had something in your back pocket, Corlin, but I always love to ask this question to kind of get to know you a little bit for our listeners. What's a fun fact about yourself that most people either don't know or would be surprised, Janelle?
Oh, well, thank you so much, Jessica, for this opportunity. It's great meeting you, Jamie and Corlin. The fun fact about me is that I grew up in a small town and I learned how to drive a tractor when I was 12 years old.
Oh,
wow.
Now
My girl.
Jamie,
You're like speaking Jamie's language. You're like, you speak John Deere?
My dad worked at John Deere. What kind of tractor? Come on.
It was international.
Is it? We want to know, is it green or orange?
Right.
It was the orange one.
It's okay.
Wow.
It was the red tractor. It, after
400.
weather, it was turned orange, but it was the red tractor that turns orange with the two wheels in the front and the two big ones on the side.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's so funny. See,
I kind of, before we get into all of that financial data, I am super curious about Toastmasters. I know a little bit, but I want to just, can we dive into, can you share for our listeners, what is Toastmasters? And then maybe with that, share like a little high level, like what are your big takeaways for people who are getting into speaking and how they can
trying to get these girls in for years. So maybe your elevator pitch is better than mine.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Shit. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Toastmasters is a wonderful company, and of course, a lot of people know that it's 100 years old now, and it basically builds up leaders and it helps you with your professional speaking skills. So we become competent leaders and competent communicators. So it's all about communication and leadership, Toastmasters, and you're in a safe environment to work on projects, to speech, to design your own speech. Talk about yourself is probably the hardest thing that we ever have to do in life, and that's the first speech that we give is an icebreaker, telling everyone about us and who we are. And if you hear all of the great speakers, what are they sharing with you? Their story. So what a better place to be in a safe environment to where you can share your story, get to learn other people, find out about them. And it's a great community of people who enjoy speaking, being in front of, just really looking at the greatest fear and overcoming that and improving on their self-confidence and their self-worth and improving on their communication skills inside professional development and personal development as well. So I just spoke with a young lady today that I mentored, and she's like, she, through the mentorship with me, she's now on a board and she's going to be going to a leadership conference. And that's something that she would have never done had she not been a member of Toastmasters. So she stepped out of her comfort zone. So it's the best place you can be, to step outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
What do you think what are the biggest speaking mistakes that people make getting started, or that you would see that you would think that people mess up on and that could have an easy tip to correct?
Well, talking fast, I would say, is one of the things that I have a problem with. Probably when I get excited, I talk fast, and this is not necessarily a speaking mistake. However, designing your speech and designing your story is a craft. There's like a science to it, but at the end of the day, you're sharing about what's in your heart. So there's really no right or wrong when it comes to speaking, but you want to learn your audience, you want to know your audience, and you want to speak to the listening of the people who you're speaking to. So I wouldn't get up and talk to you guys about the NASCAR Indy 500 because I don't know if you're NASCAR people. So therefore, it's like, okay, if I know that you're not NASCAR people in Indy 500, then I would, have that conversation with a different group that is in the NASCAR and into the Indy 500. And of course, I can't even say anything more than that because I don't know a whole lot other than watching it on television, cars going around in circles. But that's what you want to make sure, that you're speaking to people in such a way to where they're going to understand what you're saying, and you're going to speak and have voice inflection, and also talk about things that people really resonate with, like lead like a girl. Everyone resonates with leadership, and you guys have a great platform here where it doesn't matter if it's like you're a woman, step into your purpose, step into your leadership.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to do, is your voice is your moneymaker in a sense, but then your voice should definitely not be suppressed. It definitely should be heard.
I love that.
Thank you.
And I know that some people think that it's all about public speaking. Some people get into Toastmasters because of public speaking, but some people just get into it because they want to grow and develop in their, like you said, self-confidence, in their leadership skills. Nothing to do with they plan on being a speaker. But if you do, you'd be crazy not to go to Toastmasters. It's for a little bit of money. There's a lot of learning and teaching in that too. And you get feedback. That's the biggest thing, right?
Yes, I love the feedback, the evaluation, and the best part is that a lot of the programs that the popular speakers are charging like $2,000. It's like minimum, like to get your foot in the door. It's like $19.99 for my program. But with Toastmasters, it's $60 every 6 months, $120 a year to learn, a fraction of the cost of what a lot of these professional big stage speakers are charging.
Love it.
So yes,
Well,
it's definitely
I'm
wonderful.
Sorry. Thank you, Corlin, for asking that question, because I didn't have that on my list, but I think that is an important part of what Janel does, because if not for her, I wouldn't have gotten all fired up about Toastmasters and, became the president and all that good stuff. So I appreciate her passion for Toastmasters, because it definitely matters. I want to jump into the financial. First, tell me about, do you have a copy of your book close to you that you can hold up? Tell me about this. Like, what inspired this? Where did it start? I mean, you just woke up one day and said, you know what, I want to write a book on this. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
The title is amazing to start off with. I feel like I can hear my mom on my shoulder. Just like,
Yes, well, I was sitting up at work one day, and a lot of people, they were talking about the Robin Hood, and they were talking about different things when it comes to finances. And a lot of people that I spoke to in my previous employment, I used to sell like marketing, auto and home insurance. And I was like, who likes to save money? So that was like my go-to every time I got up and spoke in front of a large group. And everyone loved to save money, but were they really saving money? And I just had a situation for me personally where I changed jobs and things were tight. And I'm just like, I just feel trapped. And I went to a coworker of mine. I said, what do you think about a book title called The Real Trap House? And she says, well, what's that about? And so I said, well, it would be about, being in the hamster wheel, kind of like the rich dad, poor dad thing, but it would share information about all the stuff that we were like told about money that's not true. And when she says, well, yeah, because my daddy always told me money just flew out the window when he didn't have any. And I was like, oh, really? I never heard of that. And so that's where the title of the book came from. Shout out to Jill.
Yeah.
And yes,
I love
and her
that.
dad saying, well, when he didn't have any money, it just flew out the window.
I've always heard that when I have 3 daughters, and everyone knows. I've always heard that when you have daughters, just money just flies out the window because they're so expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I looked at your book. I just wanted to know, how did you decide to write a book? I have all of this knowledge in my job. I have all this knowledge in my life. I should put this into a book and I should publish this.
Well, that's one of the things we tell ourselves a lot of times, often, is we're always like, oh yeah, you should write a book. Oh, hi, that was funny. Oh, you should write a book one day about that. Your life is so great. You should write a book. So it's like, oh, well, why not? And I had a coworker, a colleague, and she and I became accountability partners, and she wanted to do the same thing. So she's like, "Well, let's stop talking about it and let's just do it." So we would be on the computer, Zoom, after work. We'd take a break, and then we'd get on Zoom, and we'd be back and forth looking at information on YouTube University and learning about, well, how do you publish it? What do you do? And what's the first step? And so we researched all of it, and then I also attended like a free book session with Black Book Cards, Black Book Club or something. And I did a weekend and I learned everything about how to do it yourself. And then at the end, they had this package that was like way out of budget. And they're like, oh, well, we've given you everything that you need in this book to do it yourself. And so we know you're not going to do it. That's why you need to pay us. So I was like, thanks for the challenge. I'm up to it. And so I looked at the information and I tore out the sheets. I went online, got my ISBN numbers, went to the copyright place on the government and found out how you upload information to get it copywritten so I could follow. And so I just used their plan step by step, writing a book in a weekend, and we made it happen. She wrote 2 books actually to my one. And it was like, well, how many pages does it need to be? And then as I looked at, well, money just flew out the window, I just did research. And it's like, well, what is that really? Because for me, I got tired of people saying this wonderful phrase. It's like, money is the root of all evil. And I'm like, that's not true. That's not the way it says. It's not true. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. I need to tell these people that that's not what the scripture says.
I wonder if
because
that's
the
like
lessons
one of
in the
the
book.
most misunderstood or misquoted scriptures in the Bible. I literally hear that all the time. So say that again for the people in the back. The people saying what the scripture actually says.
The love of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah. Well, you had those, and you had those lessons in your head already, right? You already kind of knew the
Well, that's
steps,
what I was going to ask.
right?
Janelle, how did you grow up? Did you grow up? You know, we had this conversation with our last guest. So this theme of this financial information, and I really hope that our listeners are taking notes and grabbing stuff from it. But we shared that, you know, some of us, most of us grew up with not a lot of money. And so tell us about your childhood. Did you grow up with a lot of money? How did your family live? Were they really frugal? What was your situation?
Oh wow! I grew up in the rural Midwest, Missouri, small town, and my first money lesson was when my godfather came to me. He knew we had money. I think it was around my sister and my birthday. We're like 13 days apart, and so she had $2 and. No, she had $1 and I got $1 for our birthdays. And so he says, well, you give me that dollar and I'll come back on Friday with $2. Well, she gave him her money. I wanted to keep mine. So this kind of tells you. Then as I look back in the Bible about the talents, parable, but she gave, and then I came up with my $1 and said, hey, I've got my money. And he says, well, the deal was on Monday. And so you lost out. And I cried.
Sounds like ladies.
I cried. And we used to pick up cans, and he would be our person that we'd gather our cans and he'd weigh it and he'd give us money. But then we found out that he was charging us less money for the cans, and then he would go and sell them for more. And I was like, well, we should be getting the same price as what you're trading them in for. He's like, no, it doesn't work that way. So that was my money lessons growing up. And my favorite one that I love to share is my dad. He was a farmer part-time, and he grew a patch of watermelons this summer, and we had to clear out the watermelons and with the weeds, and so we had to go and be in the hot sun, and he got someone to remove them from the fields, and we put them on the back of his truck, and we went around the community and sold watermelons and peddled them. So at the end of the night, we counted up all the money, and he took money for his gas. He said, but I'm not going to charge you for the fertilizer and for all this other man hours labor, and we used the money to buy school clothes. So that just goes to show you that it was like that true sweat equity. So growing up, small town, not a whole lot. My mom, she worked in the factory. My dad, he was the humane officer, aka dog catcher. And so they just worked hard, and I learned she was making less than this was when, oh my gosh, I'll date myself. When minimum wage was $3.35 an hour.
Wow.
And I was just like, how are you raising? We're a family of 5 kids with my mom and dad, and my mom had 7. So it's just like leftovers. She would take milk, the non-fat milk,
Mm-hmm.
and she'd take a gallon of regular milk and she'd mix it together. So half and half with the milk to stretch it.
Mm.
And and I learned later when she put milk in eggs to stretch the eggs.
I still do
So,
that. But
but
I didn't know that was to stretch the eggs. I thought that was to make them fluffy.
I know. Well, she did to stretch.
It does. I guess.
Yeah, they do come out fluffy though. But we did things like that to like cut costs, and I learned how to can food and different things like that with 4-H club, and just all around me was just lessons that I learned about. We would have our garden in the summertime, and honestly, I was an adult, and I had a visit with a girlfriend of mine, and she had cooked. And I was like, where did you get these greens from? She's like, the farmer's market, or they're in the grocery store. I said, they're in the grocery store. I didn't know there was a produce section at the grocery store because we had a garden growing up,
You know what?
and we'd go to the farmer's market.
Best friend. I can already see it in her eyes right now. Like everything you're saying is really speaking to this girl. She is really excited.
Well, I watched the last YouTube episode on Valentine's Day. You said I think you said for the love of money. Was that the title maybe? And you talked about frugality, and I was like, oh, I love her. This is my girl. Cause I just connect with that so much. Like, same as you, I grew up, I know, canning and growing food in the garden, and like being able to like go out into the backyard and pick stuff for the salad and whatever. And same with the milk and the eggs. I have no idea why we did that. I just still do it. But I like that. And I like I guess I think that frugality is not a naughty word. Like, I think that some people think being frugal is cheap. And I was
just about to say, is frugal cheap, and what's the difference?
So, because she talks about this on the YouTube episode, so please.
Yes. Being cheap and being frugal is 2 different things. And I've lived with the miser before, and then there's the miser. So you have different levels of people squeezing money. And frugality is basically having the same experience of something, but not paying full price. So you can still have your Starbucks coffee and not pay the Starbucks price, because they sell them in pods now, and you have a Keurig machine. So it's all about the frugality of it, because I'm still enjoying my Starbucks. But although I'm not having that experience of driving to the Starbucks window, saying hi and waiting in line, using gas, then it's just a different experience of the same thing you want and desire.
Yeah.
I loved what you said about nails, because I have a 17-year-old who does nails in her bedroom in the basement. And I look down and I'm like, okay, why am I going to the salon when I can go downstairs and my 17-year-old can just do my nails for nothing? Like, that's kind of a little bit of an example.
Oh. So I think that goes into, Janel, what you say about you don't need more money, you need more strategy.
Yeah,
so that's a perfect example of that, right? And I love that, because we've all been there when we think about, I know plenty of people that they don't make a ton of money. It's just, they just make good decisions when it's all said and done. And I try to, like you said, try to be that way in like different places. Now that was what frugal is. So what's cheap? Because I say there's some areas where I'm just a cheap ass. Like
you are a self-proclaimed cheap person. You call yourself cheap all the time. I don't think you're cheap.
Well,
you're actually you're actually the opposite of cheap.
Really? Is that's how you see me? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you an example of something. Okay. So, and I'll tell you my crazy justification. So the way that we do it, and I want to talk about this too, because I think I have PTSD when it comes to money. And the reason I say that is because, so as you know, or as I shared before, as a kid, my my dad had a lot of money, but at 11 he died. So I maybe wasn't a poor kid, but I got there eventually, right? So I experienced that and then started working. I can remember making $4.50 an hour, and then worked really, really hard to then make a lot of money. And then when you don't have money and all of a sudden you have all this money, for me, you're at the Louis Vuitton store and the Gucci store and the Tiffany and all of this, right? And then all of a sudden we went through a major hardship and we had nothing and we had to file bankruptcy and we lost everything. And that did something to me where I'm like, now I'm so nervous about money that I almost don't even want to look at it. Like I just want to say, oh, okay, I know I'm doing well, but I don't want to get into it. But that's why I say I have PTSD, but we have a budget. And if we have, let's just say, $150 every 2 weeks of spending money, what I do now is I save up my spending money. And like last week, I went to the Burberry outlet and I bought an $850 Burberry dress for $300. Isn't that great?
You guys, is this where we cue the applause? Janelle, can you comment on this, please, for us? Thank you.
I thought you were a thrifter, Jessica. My heart is over here pounding. Like, oh my gosh.
This is why I said she's not cheap. She is not cheap.
Okay, wait. That's not cheap. That you did follow the plan to save money. I love it. You did.
I am a thrifter, and I say this too. Okay. So this outfit I have on right now, you can't really see it, but it's
listen to Jessica justifying her purchases.
Wait, it's Lululemon, and I probably spent months thrifting, and I found this, and I probably spent $20. And everybody knows Lululemon is crazy price, right? So in my mind, I'm like, okay, there are some things. This is my normal buy, but if I want something like that Burberry dress that is normally $850. So I talked to a friend and she's like, girl, you are crazy. I'm not spending $300 on a dress. Like, no. And so we had this whole conversation, but I said in my mind, why? I saved up my money, right? And bought something that I really want. And by the way, when I was trying it on, I could just imagine my granddaughter in that dress. It's classic Burberry. And 20 years from now, she's going to have this like retro Burberry dress and say this was my grandmother's because she was so fabulous. That's how I justified it. Now, help me.
Well, we have the wants, needs, and desires bucket.
I feel like, Janelle, I looked at your book and I don't want to say what your book is about because I want people to buy your book, but I almost feel like, can you just tell Jessica what your book's about?
Yes, we have that.
Yes, there's you need the, I don't know which chapter should we do for you about the money not growing on trees, perhaps. Oh yeah, my mother almost slapped me too when I said
not throwing you under the bus in any way, Jessica. I love you. I just yeah.
Mom, the money paper they told me was made out of trees, and you're saying money doesn't grow on trees? Yeah, I was that child. But you did great, Jessica, and that's one thing that I do in my coaching, guys. I never tell you that you did wrong. You are aligning your values with your purchases. You because of you shared your traumatic experience, and now what you do for self-gratification. So as long as you know your values and know what's in your value system and you're aligning your savings process with your values, that's what you've done.
Yes, thank you. Because back in the day, I would have just pulled out my credit card and said, I don't care how. I've been watching that dress for like 6 months, and I couldn't even believe that they still had one left in my size. That was meant to be.
I would say, I think too, like, I'm not judging you, Jess. Like, I've known you for so long. I that doesn't surprise me at all that you would own like many Burberry dresses, let alone the perfect one. But I think that the difference is that you headed this conversation with, I am cheap. And I just like, that is like the epitome of why you are not a cheap person.
Yes.
Yes, you appreciate value, good quality, brand name things, and I would equate those things not with a cheap person. That's what I'm
Now, if
saying.
you got the knockoff Burberry dress, then that's what cheap people do.
Right.
They buy the knockoffs.
Well, here's the what I'm saying is there have been some times where we went out
And
to
nothing's
this
wrong with
nice
that.
steak dinner, and my husband's like, to me, it was way too much. It's food. Like, I'm going to put it in my mouth, swallow it, and then it's going to come out the other end. That's not like, and he's like, no, you're cheap. This is like, you got to pay for a good meal. So that's what I mean. It's like some things I just don't see the value in spending money on like that. It just doesn't make sense.
And that takes me totally back to the experience of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you shared, you had the experience of watching that dress, you tried it on, it felt good. There's an experience that you had going to that outlet. And now, as a frugal person, you go shopping at outlets, you go get the sales.
Let me ask you, a lot of people think that women are the ones that are the crazy spenders. Out of people that you coach, that you talk to when it comes to finances, is that a myth or is there some truth to that that usually, because I think it's the opposite. I think women, we're more organized, we're more cost conscious. And yes, we might spend money on our hair and nails and stuff like that. I think that the men are the reckless spenders. Tell me I'm wrong.
I wouldn't call it reckless spending, but men's clothes cost a lot more than women's clothes. And it's about the pricing of everything in the market. Like the men, they'll wear a pair of shoes. They'll pay $300 for a pair of shoes because they're going to wear that pair of shoes longer than you will. We're buying, $50, $100 heels, and we're wearing them out because we wear them to work every day. Well, a man, they, don't wear clothes and they don't wear shoes like women do.
Yeah. Now that, and Mr. Smith bought 2 Burberry shirts, by the way.
Of course.
To
One thing
dress,
yeah,
see?
right there you go.
Yeah.
One thing that really caught my eye looking through your book and your bio and all the information that we found online is that you talk a lot about wealth, planning a legacy, investing for growth, having passive income. I know that those are all like many, many topics, but when you're thinking about long term and starting from nothing and trying to build real wealth, what can you tell us? Like, what can you teach us on where to start? What are your big tips for that?
Well, it starts with saving and understanding how money works.
I love
And
that.
yes, and how money works is there's this wonderful word called interest. Compound interest is our friend. And as we look at the opportunity for creating the budget, starting with the budget, like Jessica said, to your point, I love the fact that you have a budget.
Yeah.
And you stick to your budget, saving for a rainy day. Of course, when COVID happened, that was a rainy year for a lot of us. But looking at the way that money works in compound interest, there are vehicles out there when it comes to money to have your money in. Of course, as we've learned last week, not everything's on sale in the stock market now.
Yeah, right.
Yes, and so a lot of people are like really freaking out. But at the end of the day, if you're a savvy investor, then it's a good day for you because you're getting everything buy low, sell high, right? So learning and understanding finances, and from that perspective, and learning how to save money, how to shop for the deals, how to possibly get what you want or have delayed gratification. That's all important aspects of building wealth, and really looking at how is that going to be beneficial for you and your family, and then getting in, as you see with the stock market, on the low end of things so that you can have a good return on your investment. So those are all of some of the strategies that I would share to the ways that people can build wealth.
Wow.
And then, of course, passing land or down to their family.
Land. Yeah, that we were talking about that earlier too. So
Yes.
I know we're kind of running out of time here, and I love this topic, so we might just have to have you back for a round 2. But I want to ask one more question, and that is when it comes to debt. So number of years ago, I should say we got ourselves into probably a good, I don't know, $45,000 of credit card debt. And I used the Dave Ramsey method. I think it was called snowball or something.
The debt snowball.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one, I love that, it was biblical. For me, that was important. And got out of debt in no time with that. When you think about credit card debt, is there one that you like, agree, believe in? Maybe not that one, or is there one that you recommend that really is effective and works for people?
Well, I know that the debt snowball method really works. That is, of course, Dave Ramsey. We hear him on the news. The Financial Peace University. I participated in his classes too as well. The other is a debt starter method, which is more of a way to approach your debt, where you're paying off your big. You can either pay off your big high interest credit cards first and pay less interest over time, or you can tackle the higher interest and do it in the reverse. So you can pay off the low interest rate with the high interest, and so it just depends. But there's a software out there that will really tell you what to do, and I share that with my clients. It's like, here, go to this website, check out this link, put in all of your information, and then the plan will be done for you.
Oh, nice.
And yes, and so they may choose, okay, you can pay this one off quicker, and even though it may be more interest, but then choose the low interest rate, the low balance credit card first. Or it may tackle, it's like, oh, you want to pay and then put more money towards, once you pay that off, you have to put the money that you use to pay off the other credit card towards the other balances. And so you find that some people don't do that. Once they get in there and they pay off, and you say, oh, I paid it off, great, I've got money, but they use it and go out and have fun. But then at the same time, I would say, just look at the system and what works for you, and what you can have, the habit that you can create for yourself that will work best for you. But the debt snowball method, by far, I'm a believer.
I love that. Well, I tell people, I'm just so grateful that after that, I've never gotten in credit card debt again. I don't hold balances. I really believe that credit card debt is slavery for me. That's how I view it. And so I always share with people when it comes to this, I always say, is this a want or a need? And then when they say it's a need, and I say, okay, so the follow-up question is, but do you need it right now? And so that's always, so the younger people in my family, I always tell them that, and they got it down now. They say, I know. Is it a want or a need? Do I need it right now? So that's a really good one. This has been a great conversation. Listen, I don't know if you guys have, I want to make sure that we give Janel an opportunity, one, to tell people, remind them of the title of her book and where they can find it, and also the services that she offers and how they can find her. But what are some takeaways? You ladies got anything in terms of a takeaway from today?
One thing that spoke to me was just paying attention to what you're spending. So actually taking the time to look through that budget, like you guys were talking about, like look through what are you spending money on, and creating a budget and actually diving in deep and looking at that, and then creating or having a strategy in terms of what am I going to do? Like, what are we doing in the future? What are we saving? How are we paying this off? What are we spending our money on? And then really the last thing I was thinking of is teaching our kids, right? You talked about generational wealth.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to get out of it unless we teach our kids how to do the exact same thing. And they don't learn that in school.
Right.
So that's the third thing that came up to me with our whole discussion here is it doesn't, take this and teach our mentees and teach our kids, like 3 steps. Take your money, figure out what you're spending, figure out how to budget it, figure out how to make a strategy, and then teach maybe your friends.
Yeah, I love it.
So yeah, I really got a lot out of this. Thank you so much, Janel.
You're welcome. I love it.
Yeah.
What you got?
And yeah, I think that your perspective when you said that you don't need more money, you need more strategy. Yeah. Because really, you can make all the money in the world, and if you're spending 99% of it, then you're not going to have anything to invest. You're not going to be able to grow your wealth. You're not going to live comfortable, and it's going to be really stressful. Yeah. But if you can minimize your expenses and maximize where you're investing that, and really, like to Jamie's point, and really pay attention to all of the different things, money in, money out. I just think that that's so incredibly critical to be able to take that time. And with that, just having margin, right, in our life. When I get too busy and there's too many things, that's when I start, the wheels kind of start falling off and I stop really paying attention to what's happening. We're like, oh, I don't have time to cook. We're going to go out to eat. I don't have time to do this. We're going to, so I end up trading my money for time. Mm-hmm. And that's not how we're going to grow wealth and be financially fit for the long run. So
yeah, no, I love that. And, of course, for our listeners that love to know, biblically, that's my biggest thing too, is that I want to be able to honor God with the resources that he has given me, because at the end of the day, it's all his, and his word says those that can manage a little can manage a lot. So there's no way he's going to bless me with more money unless I have a strategy on what I'm doing that is honoring him with what I have. So I'll say that strategy thought took me there. Janel, please let our listeners know again your book title again, where they can find it and where they can find you.
Thank you, Jessica, Jamie, and Corlin, for the opportunity to lead like a girl tonight. And the title of my book is Money Just Flew Out the Window: How to Create a Relationship with Wealth, Living from Paycheck to Paycheck. And the book can be found on Amazon. And we're looking at other opportunities to have it available in audiobook here in the near future.
Nice.
So you can find it on Amazon. And thank you so much, ladies, for this opportunity. I really appreciate speaking to your audience.
Thank you so much.
And if we have listeners out there that say, hey, I'd love to have a conversation in terms of financial coaching, or just where to start, or just, where can they find you?
Yes, so you can find me on Facebook under Janel Pulley and Financial Bliss Academy. I'm going to be starting a 21-day financial challenge on April 22nd of this month. It's Earth Day for sustainability. So it'll be a free 21 days where it's going to be a scripture-based, and it's going to be activities and challenges for you to take on. Oh. And one of them, to Jamie's point, is knowing your numbers in what you're spending your money on. So that's one of the challenges I'll let you guys know. It's just go through your bank statements and write everything down. If you use a spreadsheet, but writing it down and getting connected with your money and how you're spending it is the first step. And so that, and then we'll have other challenges. We'll have 21 challenges total. And you can also, find me and reach out to me. I guess I can give my number, 404-606-6975. I can be reached, and I believe I have a booking link somewhere online under the financialblissacademy.com. So you should be able to find a booking link for me and book some time, and we can have a free 15-20-minute session, and I can, share with you, take down some information, and offer a free financial plan for your listeners. And this is because this is April Financial Literacy Awareness Month. I'll definitely, be able to provide a free financial needs analysis to everyone that reaches out to me.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much. That is amazing. And I hope you ladies out there really take her up on that offer. Again, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Lead Like a Girl. You can find us at leadlikeagirllab.com. We would love it if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and share, and give us some feedback on whether it's a guest or a topic that you want to hear about. We want to know what you want to hear about. Until next time, we are out.